What's up, everyone? I want to talk to you guys about a really wild experience I had mixing mushrooms and an MAOI. Now, I learned this from our Lord and Savior Terrence McKenna a couple of years ago that when you mix an MAOI with mushrooms, it makes your mushroom trip last longer and it makes it more intense. Basically, it doubles the dose of whatever you're taking. So if you take 2 grams, it turns it into 4. It's how ayahuasca works. Ayahuasca contains the B-Capi vine, which is the MAOI, and the trachuna leaf, which contains DMT. Brewed together, boom, it's able to allow the DMT to pass orally. So I didn't eat the B-Capi vine, I had the seeds of Syrian Rue, Peganum harmala. You can find them online, it's like 20 bucks an ounce. All you need is like 2.5 grams. Do a lot of research because they can get really wild. So I had 3 grams of mushrooms with it. I went over to America's favorite gay black man's house, Ramel. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna eat these mushrooms, kick it with my best friend. I just kind of needed guidance, but to my luck, he had to work in like an hour. So I get there, I'm like, yo, let's hang out, we're gonna do this, that. And he's like, yeah, I gotta work. He's like, but we can hang out for now, like, let's go to the park. So I'm like, all right. So we head to the park. Now, on the way to his house, I had already ate the seeds. So we get to the park, we're chilling for about 10 minutes. And my stomach is already kind of getting that little achiness of the MAOI, like my body felt kind of weak, so I was like, all right, it's time to jump down the rabbit hole. So I pull out the mushrooms, start eating them. Ate them. And waiting game. At that point, we're just playing like adult children at the playground, swinging, sliding down. He put me in this wheel. If you've ever seen these at parks, it's just really cool. It's basically like the tire at the top of a hill, and you get in it and you spin, except with no hill. It just stands still and you get in there and he spins you and you're spinning me. I got dizzy as fuck. I was like super nauseated from the mushrooms already, so I was like almost about to puke. So an hour, like basically like the time goes by, he has to go to work, so I'm like, all right, man. So I walk him to his house, all right, see you later, make out, whatever. And I dip out. So I was just really nauseated from these mushrooms. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go home, wait for the bus. So we have this like neighborhood circulator in Tempe where it's a free bus. They just go through neighborhoods. So I'm waiting for this bus, and I just was getting super anxious. Like I didn't want to stand in one place. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna walk down the street. So I just keep walking. I go all the way to the end of the street. Stand there, nothing. I'm like, all right. So I turn back around, start walking down the street again. Now, the streetlights were on at this point, and they were so incredibly fucking bright. Like, so bright they were producing, like, rainbows around them. And, like, all the buildings started to look like some shit out of The Simpsons. Like, pink houses and stuff, like, were just so cartoony. Finally, I'm, like, sitting there, and I see the bus, and I get on the bus, and I'm like, there's one other guy in there. And I go and sit in the back, and I'm, like, listening to music. Just fucking, at this point, I'm really, really tripping. And just like sitting there like fucking with tracers and shit, and I'm just kind of laughing, like the music's making me laugh for some reason. I'm just like ah, shit. And I'm like trying to keep my cool because I don't want this guy to be like, what the fuck? And sure enough, this guy like looked at me, and we made eye contact, right? And I was just like excited. And then he's like goes right back in his phone. He gets off the bus. We're driving now. The street lights were like illuminating the streets yellow. But to me, it started to look like everything was fucking golden, right? Everything was gold. Like I was floating through like an Egyptian futuristic city or some shit. And like the bus looked so futuristic, like I was in a fucking spaceship or something. Just the way the silver reflected off the blue chairs, and it was just incredible. I was just like, what the fuck, man? So like we're driving, and like we get to like a stoplight, and like when the like light would be red, green, or yellow or whatever, like it would just illuminate everything outside that color, so everything would change that color to me, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude? So finally, after what seemed like forever, I get to my stop, which is basically right in front of my house. I get out, and I look at the sky, and it's so purple, like more purple than I've ever seen in my life. Because I'm in the city, like all the street lights were like reflecting off the clouds, turning all the clouds like yellow. And it looked like golden clouds with a pink sky. Like literally, for some reason, it just reminded me of Aladdin. I was like, dude, I'm like Arabian Night. So I get to my house. My phone's dying at that point, so I plug it in, let it charge up, because I was going to go for a walk. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna sit here, relax a little bit. So I put on this Native American flute music. It was awesome. Just burn a little bit of sage, put my crystals around me. I'm just meditating, closing my eyes, listening to this beautiful flute music. And like my closed-eyed visuals were insane. Like it looked like webbing, like geometric webbing under my eyes. And there was like these 4 orbs. I want to say like on like 4 orbs, right? And they were like mix match and like float around, but they were like going so in sync with the flute music, and it was just incredibly profound. I'm just sitting there like, wow, just blown away by this beauty. I don't even know how much time passed. So finally I said, I just got that anxious like burst of energy. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I take my phone and I walk to Tempe Beach Park, which is a real popular park in my city. I get there and come over the hill, and I see like literally 200 fucking people, right? And they're all like this, just walking face down, looking at their phones. Literally everyone. I like walk in the middle of this crowd, like people are not paying attention to anything, anyone. Everyone's playing Pokemon Go, right? And I just felt like literally I was like walking amongst zombies or something. Like I could have pulled my dick out, slapped someone in the face, and they'd been like, hey bro, I'm trying to catch this Charizard, man. And like literally I was just like, it kind of like, it scared me. I was like, what the fuck? Like, all right, this is weird. I'm getting the fuck out of here. So I go start walking down this bridge, right? Walking down this bridge, looking at all the water, beautiful lights reflecting off the waving waters, is so sick. And there's this jogger behind me, right? He's jogging, he's coming closer. I didn't know this. I had music in my ears, but all I start to feel is the bridge moving a little bit, like. But to me, since I'm on mushrooms, this shit was like really fucking moving. I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? So I pulled my headphones out, and like someone like was feeling it move a little bit too, so they screamed out like, what the fuck is going on? Like joking around. And I'm like, yo, I don't know, what the fuck is going on? So I started running, dude. I ran to the end of the bridge thinking this shit was gonna collapse. So I get to the end of the bridge and I like turn around, the jogger's right behind me. I realized, oh, it was just someone fucking running. Right when I realized that, I hear some woman let out this blood-curdling scream, right? And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I turn, and basically, it was a dude holding his girlfriend's hand, walking her along the wall next to the water. Oh, I'm gonna push you and be cute, and she screamed. So I'm like, what the fuck, man? There's people trying to trip on mushrooms out here. Have some fucking respect. So I'm like, all right, screw this. I'm going home. So I go home and fucking was like, yeah, I mean, for one thing, like, tripping in public's really not a big deal for me. Like, I'm pretty used to it. Just that was too intense for me. Way too intense. Too many people, whatever. So I get to my house. I'm like, I'm going to go get in the fucking pool. So I jump in the pool, and I have my music playing, and I'm just, like, floating around. I'd go underwater and, like, hold my breath, and, like, literally I felt like I was floating through space. Like, I didn't want to come up for air. I was just like, all senses blocked, no sense of smell, sound, eyes closed, and it was just like this crazy journey through the mind. So finally I'd need air, I'd come up and just like floating on my back, looking at all the stars above me, like literally looked like they were like swaying, like, I can't really see what I'm doing, like swaying, like, and then the mushroom kind of started to talk to me, because my whole intention going into this mushroom trip was guidance. I seriously needed guidance. Lately, my life has been really fucking shitty. Really shitty. A lot of confusion, a lot of depression. I mean, that's the whole reason I took the mushroom. I was just like, I need guidance. And that's what it started to do. It started to guide me. It just kind of started to assure me, like, don't worry. Everything will be okay. No matter what happens, it could be the worst thing in the fucking world, but you know what? Your spirit is strong, and no matter what you face, it's going to make you stronger. And there's no need to be afraid of the darkness, because when you come out, this light, it's going to radiate all over you. And it really helped me out. Like, I started crying, and I just started reflecting on my whole life, and it was beautiful. It was insane. And I was in the water, and I got all pruny. I was probably in there for like 2 hours, just sitting there basically crying. And get out, I come back in, and then I just lay down, start listening to that flute music again. And then my mind just starts to wander to weird places. I start thinking about like Native Americans and like the origin of the country, and like I started to get really depressed about like the Trail of Tears, and like I don't know, I just felt really connected to my heritage at that point, which is really cool because I've never, like, until I really started taking psychedelics, I never really looked deeply into my heritage or like understood like how much that connects, like the plants and, you know, the oneness of like learning. When you take psychedelics, you understand that we're all one, and that these Native Americans knew that, and it just really seemed like it meant to be in that case. But it was insane. It was a wonderful mushroom trip, really intense at certain points, but yeah. And then I just like laid here and then meditated for God knows how long, and then I opened my eyes and everything was kind of like wearing down, like the intensity of the mushroom trip. The visuals weren't as strong as they were, so I put on the motherfucking Goonies, watched that shit, and yeah, it was a great night. But yeah, that was my most recent psychedelic experience. Like I said, my mindset's been really weird lately, so I haven't done a lot of psychedelics. I'm hoping to change that very soon. If you guys have been following along with like my Periscope and, you know, my other social medias, Instagram, Twitter, you do know what's going on. My life isn't what it used to be, but I'm in it to win it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Icarus 480 as always. Peace, love, and smoke DMT.